Have with us Subhomoy Bhattacharjee, senior economic journalist on the show now. Subhomoy, welcome to DD India. Briefly tell us the importance of multilateralism in today's world and what are the steps that India, Brazil and the BRICS forum can take to strengthen it?
Well, actually, there's quite a lot. I mean, what we are seeing right now is a sort of a breakdown of a multilateral consensus. The world trade, for instance, is dependent on the multilateral system that we have set up under the World Trade Organization. Now, that has stood us well. That has led to a substantial expansion of trade volumes across the world, and that has been so very useful. We should also look at something like what has happened to us in the global arena in terms of bringing up people from the poverty levels. Both in India as well as in China, the world's largest level of poverty reduction and others have happened. Well, a good part of that has been mediated by the multilateral organization. So there's a lot that has really been of very major useful to use to us. Given all that circumstances, today, if a country says that I want to go unilaterally, setting up tariffs, setting up trade relations, setting up negotiations which actually hit at the basis of multilateralism, then actually we are taking a few steps back from the progress that we have made.
Yeah. So India and Brazil are the two countries most affected by President Trump's tariffs. What are the possible steps that they can take to contain the effects of those tariffs, and would those steps be taken under the BRICS umbrella?
That's the point. I mean, basically the BRICS formation has actually taken considerable space and considerable amount of what we should call attention in the rest of the world in terms of bringing very powerful economies together. And what BRICS has done is also has set up an institutional structure. We today have in BRICS the Global Development Bank, the New Development Bank. We also have a trading order that is being set up. So Brazil, India, Russia, China, South Africa, these countries with a relatively young population, very congruent ideas and developmental needs can actually and are in the process of setting up a very powerful alternative to the earlier Second World War, post-Second World War based systems. So it is something to be welcomed, and it is something which is actually taking very strong shapes. As you also know, in the G20 forum, rapidly one after another. I mean, we had India, before that there was Indonesia, there was India, now this year there's Brazil, next year there's going to be South Africa. Now, this continuous series of G20 engagement among the BRICS nation, as you notice, is a very strong affirmation of their role in shaping the global multilateral order. Yatan.
Yeah. So President Trump has threatened to impose secondary tariffs to compel Russia to end the Ukraine conflict. But what would be the likely effects of these secondary tariffs on global inflation, global growth, and even the US economy itself?
Well, obviously these sort of things are not good at all, to put a very blunt bottom line to it. Why? Because tariffs are supposed to be not elements of war. They are supposed to be means to ensure countries can trade with each other at the most profitable way. So if we set tariffs, as President Trump has done, by saying that I set tariffs and I just use those tariffs to benefit USA, well, the world doesn't work like that. What happens is that he hurts US economy because the consumers pay for higher and costlier goods. For instance, if Indian spices go off the table of America, then that's clearly adding to the food inflation. Similarly, if there's a system that says that we will not be importing pharmaceuticals, the Indian pharma products exports underwrite a lot of the Medicare, Medicaid system in USA. The cost efficiency of those systems are dependent on the easy availability of pharmaceuticals that India is providing. So these are the ways in which the entire world is interlocked. And for President Trump to say that, no, I would ensure that only the American interests are kept predominant and are looked after is just not something that holds and can be sustainable, and it's actually going to be counterproductive. And about the secondary tariff, as you said, they actually do not help, because what it does is there are lots of ways countries can develop alternative trading systems, alternative structures, which would essentially move them away from the US sort of the mediated trade structure that is there, and it would hurt USA. It'll actually lead to an amount of what we should say disturbance for some time, because countries will be reorganizing their trade routes, trade paths, but after that the countries would be on their own.
Okay, how far could President Trump's, especially President Trump's tariffs, especially the secondary tariffs, complicate the US administration's efforts to secure trade deals with China and India?
Both. I mean, like basically what's happening is that we are not getting clear signals. We need to be sure that what is it that USA wants. If USA wants to sell high technology products, India is the huge market for it. If USA wants to sell Boeing, India has got huge market for it. There is no problem there. But what USA is trying to sell are very low value-add products in the dairy sector, in the agricultural sector. Now, for India, that becomes a problem, because that's something that we are already self-sufficient in, and we do far better, thanks to our cost advantage, thanks to our farmers, thanks to lots of things. So we don't need that sort of system that USA is trying to sort of, push on. As a result, what's going to happen is that even while India is resetting its trade agenda, and forgive me, and rightly so, you will find that China also will find it extremely leery to enter into and sustain a long-term trade partnership with the USA, because they know that at any stage, this system can be upstaged. So it definitely helps no one, because when you hit a tariff wall on your very major importing country, import partner, then what you do is that you also create uncertainty for other countries. So other countries also were worried that what is it that is there for me. So it's definitely not going to be beneficial for US-China trade relationship, and definitely with the US-EU trade relationships, because they'll also be watching these developments with a lot of concern that it could actually boomerang on them.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you also see it affecting US's international relations and international standing in the world?
Basically it has already done so. We have, from the post-Second World War, USA took up a special position in the world order as the global largest economy, as somebody which could understand the needs of other countries. The system of preferential access for least developed countries was predicated on the fact that that there are weaker countries which need the support from the USA, and the USA, as a country which had pioneered and had really worked in the Second World War, saying that this is the time for a post-colonial system to develop. In that sort of a system, USA was expected to take the lead role. Now, if President Trump says that, no, I look only at US interests, then obviously USA cannot say that I also will be the lead role in setting the global agenda. There are lots of stuff in the global agenda that will come up by and by as soon as this tariff thing, we cross the hump over. And remember, the tariff problem for India is not as much as we would be. I mean, in some quarters it may be said it is something that India can it will be a matter of adjustments, but we can handle it.
Okay. Let's hope so, that we leverage it and do it well. Thank you very much, Subhomoy Bhattacharjee, for joining us on DD India News Hour.